Yeah, last week, not kind of like I said after the game, not a whole lot of positives. Didn't do a whole lot well. Thought we got physically whipped last week. We faced a really good team, and they came out and whipped us. So now it's about regrouping. We've got a really good opponent coming up in Missouri State at their place. I think it's family weekend at their stadium. So got a little bus ride ahead of us, so which will be fun with some of the younger guys we've got on the team. I love away games. I like getting on the buses and taking a trip with with the boys and watching the movies on the bus and all of that kind of stuff. So our focus is on Missouri State now. We put Saturday's game behind us yesterday, and now we're moving forward on to the next one.
How much do you learn from this team, depending on how they bounce back from a loss like that?
A bunch, just because that was the first opportunity we've had this year for a game like that. We didn't, and I said this after week one, we didn't know a whole lot more about our football team after week one than we did going into week one. And now, after Saturday, there's certain spots where we still don't know exactly what we got, just because Schuler Bentley, I thought he did okay Saturday, but I really don't know. It's hard to evaluate him because there's a lot of times where he was running for his life back there and trying to get out of the pocket and things like that. So, I think that that's what I'm most excited about, is seeing how this group of guys bounces back after a game like that. I thought yesterday was probably one of our better Sunday night practices when we got them out there on the field. Especially watching some of the guys who were a little dinged up after the game get out there and run around. Thought the energy level was good. We'll have a team meeting today, go over some academics and some things like that. So it'd be interesting to see how their mood is. And then tomorrow, that's what I'm most excited about. That first practice, that first real practice after your game, that's what you want to see, is how they come out, how they go about their work week. So we'll see how they do.
What did Saturday's game tell you about your team?
Well, here's the deal. I mean, I was. Everybody said after the game, even my dad sent me a text and said, "Hey, man, I was impressed with the effort level that your kids gave for 4 quarters," and I was too. But it's like we talked about with the team Sunday. Effort is non-negotiable. Effort is not something that our guys don't get patted on the back because they played hard. That's a given. That has to be. That's like in English. That's the understood you. That's we're done with that phase. And that's what I told him. I said, if you think I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna give you praise and high fives because you played hard, you're sadly mistaken. The bottom line is when we get put in certain situations, we have to make the play. And I think that was what we learned yesterday watching the tape with the boys was look, there's a couple of times, you take kickoff for instance, there's 3 times we are there to make the play. We are there we've got him dead to rights on the 15-yard line, and all we have to do, one time we come completely untouched and dude runs right by us, and all of a sudden it becomes a big return. Until we get those things corrected where we can make the play, then we're just going to continue to sit here and say, hey, man, good effort, but our product's never going to get any better. And we've got to start understanding as a football team, as a program, that the effort level has to be there. That we're not going to coach that. You either have it or you don't, and if you don't, you're not on the field. If you do, you're on the field, and when you get on the field, it's your job to make those plays when they present themselves. And that's what we want to see this week moving forward. We want to see some guys that will make the play when the play is presented. When that opportunity arises, they have to make the play. They can't just try hard. They have to make the play.
Missouri State, incredible first half in their opener against Missouri, but 6 quarters they kind of laid an egg offensively, but against good competition. So what do you know about them?
Yeah, it's I'll be honest with you, it's kind of a weird deal, when you go off of their 2 games this year, which we'll look at a lot of their games last year, just because offensively they are it's a Jekyll and Hyde. You know, I mean, when you watch that game versus Missouri, everything that could go wrong from a defensive standpoint on both sides for both teams went wrong in that game. That was a defensive nightmare. You know, so they do a lot of eye candy offensively. They're going to have a lot of motions and for good luck calling the game, because there's going to be a lot of unbalanced formations and trying to put people in different places. You know, they'll have a plan in place. They'll do a good job. You know, but it makes it hard to evaluate them a little bit, just from a standpoint of, you watch one game against an SEC opponent and they look like gangbusters, and then, like you said, the next week they go out and they don't play so well. So I'm hoping that team shows up, not the one that showed up the first week. But they'll be tough regardless, just because of the things that they do offensively.
Galen Crowder was pretty tough last year here at this place. They're running back. Are there any particular circles you have looking at their offense? I know last year's game was so close. Can you even relate to that game going into this year?
You know, with how we played Saturday, I've got a circle on all 22 positions on the field, whether it's offensively or defensively. We're going to circle the whole unit because you know, and when I say that, I mean our guys. Okay, that's where the circle is for me, is our guys. I'm not concerned. Those coaches in there, they're the ones that are concerned about what the other team's doing and how we have. I'm not concerned with it. I'm concerned of how we play. I want to see us defensively, when we get in a position to make a tackle, I want to see us make that tackle. I want to see us speed our feet up, make that tackle in space. When we make that tackle, I don't want to see us go backwards. I want to see them go backwards. Offensively, same thing. When we have a chance to fit runs and put hats on hats, I want to see us put hats on hats, but understand that that's only half the battle. Now we have to move those hats forward and get yards. So they got great players. They've got really talented players offensively and defensively, and everybody is. From this point forward, everybody's going to have really good players. So I'm more concerned with how we do offensively and defensively, what we're going to do, how we're going to play our game plan, as opposed to how they're going to play theirs.
How much are you looking at your offensive line to help protect you a little bit more this week? You're saying like on Saturday that you was running around and having tough.
That's their job, you know. As Coach Hamilton says, hey, it's our job to keep people standing up, and they've got to keep people standing up. And I'm not saying that they played bad. It's not like they were the reasons that we got our fannies kicked offensively the other night. We didn't do a whole lot of anything great the other night. We got our fannies whipped by a really good football team Saturday night. But for us to move forward and get past that, then, as he puts it, we've got to keep people standing up, and we've got to get movement at the point of attack. So it'll be a big-time week for those guys, and a good week of preparation for those guys to get their minds right on what they have to do this Saturday.
Visually, Central Arkansas' size was very impressive. You match up better physically with Missouri State?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. You know, the thing about it, like offensively, when we go out, our skill guys are probably always going to look a little bit smaller than everybody else. It's just because that's kind of that's what fits into what we try to do. We try to get our guys in space. We like our wide receivers to be able to move. You know, we're a heavy screen team and things like that. So we're not built for like the 50-50 balls. You know, we've got a couple of guys in Gandy and some people like that are tall and long, and they can go get those 50-50 balls. I'm just personally, though, I've never been a big fan of 50-50 balls, because the best you can ever do is 50% of the time you make them, you know. So there's always going to be a size difference usually when you look at other people's receivers compared to ours. But I hope from a line of scrimmage standpoint, I hope that we're a little bit better matched, because I'm especially when I looked out at Central Arkansas's offensive line compared to our defensive line, there was a significant difference there. So I don't know. I do think that we'll be a little bit better matched this week, than we were last week. And man, it's like I said, there was no secret last week. That 15th ranking that Central Arkansas had, I thought it was well deserved. And I think this is a very good football team too. So you don't ever know. You know, when you watch film, a lot of times you go, well, I don't know if this guy does this great. I don't know if that guy does that great. Then you wind up playing them in person, and the guy's a gangbuster. So we don't know. We'll figure it out when we walk on the field.
How do you get a faster start against a team like Missouri State on the road? You didn't get a fast start against Central.
Keep yourself out of bad positions. You know, you can't give up a sack early in the game on the minus side of the field. You know, when you give somebody 6 yards to go on offense because of a sack, that puts your defense in a hole. And then you know, when Chris Boone yells at all the defense right before they run on the field, hey, big ball, it's coming, and the big ball hits over our head for a touchdown, not once but twice, you're going to put yourself in a hole. That's what we have to do. We have to stop putting ourselves in a hole and get out on a faster start. And it's just we have to have positive plays. We got to put positive plays back to back to back, get in some drives offensively early, and finish those drives, and then defensively get off the field early in the game so that we can stay fresh and start building some momentum.